Today I want to do a unique multi-class, the Rogue and Paladin. Paladins, the upholders of good, and Rogues, the cunning opportunists. Now it may seem like they have nothing in common, but if you take the right subclasses, they both want to be duelists. And that's what I decided to combine this build and use both class features to make a very, very powerful duelist. This is the Dueling Expert. Before getting into the build, I just want to ask, how you doing? How's the day going? How's life treating you? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to hear from you guys. But with that, let's get into the build. All right, so stats are the first tricky thing we're going to run into, because we're going to need at least 13 in dexterity, strength, and charisma. Now, we're only going to be using one of those dexterity or strengths for the most part, and so we have to kind of choose one, and it kind of sucks that we had to put a bunch of stats in something we're not going to use much, but then the breaks. So what we're going to do is we're going to be going into strength primarily, so we'll have strength as our primary, we'll have charisma as our secondary, constitution as our tertiary, but we still have to have that 13 in dexterity. As for our leveling structure, we're going to be going 1 into Paladin, 3 into Rogue, and the remainder into Paladin. As for our lineage, there's a bunch of different options we have, but thinking about being a duelist, it means we want to take and give hits very efficiently. So I'm definitely looking at the damage mitigation group. I'm thinking Shatter Kai, Earth Genasi, or Goliath. And similar to other builds, we have a bonus action heavy build. We have spells from being a Paladin, and then we have cunning action from being Rogue, potentially even attacks if we're dual wielding. So no, I want to keep it with Goliath. And plus, Goliaths just have Chad energy, and duelists have Chad energy. Bring it on, bro. You, me, 1v1, let's go. So why Paladin 1 before we go into Rogue? Well, easy answer is we need heavy armor, and that's how you get heavy armor proficiency, is you gotta go into Paladin first. So it's definitely an investment level for our defenses, and we're just gonna be picking up whatever strength-based weapon we want at this point. But something to note is we are going to be picking up wisdom save proficiency from this, which I always love. From there, we start going into Rogue, and now we need to discuss our sneak attacks. In order to do a sneak attack, it needs to be a finesse weapon, but you don't actually have to use dexterity. So we can take something like a short sword or a rapier and just use our strength with it, and it'll still proc sneak attack. So we're going to be using a rapier for this build. We're also going to get expertise. Some expertise I may be looking at are intimidation. We love the idea that we are this expert fighter, so being intimidating with that prowess can be something a lot of fun to explore. We can also do stealth if we want to engage more in those antics, but one I definitely am looking at is athletics. We're designed to create one-on-one fights. An easy way to do that is just grab someone, pull them away from their group. Now it's a one-on-one fight. So having expertise in athletics is something I'm definitely going to be taking a look at. So at this level, we're already a heavy armor, shield, rapier, so we're already like this tank that can get sneak attacks on top of it. So it's an interesting combination with Rogue, but that only compounds once we hit level 3 and we take Swashbuckler. Swashbuckler allows us to do hit and run attacks without having to take the disengage action whatsoever. So long as we attack someone, they can't make opportunity attacks against us, whether or not we hit. This also allows us to get sneak attacks without an ally being next to the enemy whatsoever. This makes our sneak attacks extremely consistent and makes us really good at taking these one-on-one fights, because we can go in there, hit them, and retreat a little bit. And if they want to come fight us, they have to kind of leave their team. They have to leave their position. We're now done with Rogue. The main thing we wanted from Rogue was this hit and run playstyle. We now have it. So we're going to be going back into Paladin. This second level in Paladin is going to give us a fighting style. I'm going to suggest the dueling fighting style to increase our damage output even more. We're also going to start getting some spells, and there's some spells worth mentioning. The first is Compelled Duel. We can create a situation where it says, hey, you and me, they can't leave 30 feet range from us, and if they attack anyone besides us, they have disadvantage on the attack. So we basically say, throw down the gauntlet, it's you and me, let's go. Now we have a hit and run play style to play around with. It can be a lot of fun. You can take Thunderous Smite. The idea with Thunderous Smite is you hit them, they get knocked prone, and then you retreat, and so they have to stand up with half their movement and then chase you down, and they might not even be able to get to you. That's the idea behind Thunderous Smite, but I think the standout powerful smite has got to be Wrathful Smite. Wrathful Smite is a wisdom save, so if they fail, they're under the frightened condition, which means they can't move towards us. So now we hit them and we back up. They can't move towards us to come bring the fight to us, but on top of that, now it requires their action to use a wisdom check, not save, to try and end that frightened condition. But the frightened condition gives you disadvantage on checks, and they have to use their action at disadvantage to potentially not be frightened. That is terrible for their action economy. All the while, we can run in, smack the crap out of them, and back up just a little bit, and they can't pursue us. Their best option is to make ranged weapon attack at us at disadvantage. That's not a very good option at all. So yes, I would definitely be utilizing Wrathful Smite as often as possible. At Paladin 3, we pick up our subclass. You could definitely go to the Conquest vibe, where we eventually get an aura that we can use to our advantage, where we fear them, and then we back up just enough that they're still in our aura, so they can't run from us, and they can't run towards us. They just have to stand still, and if they don't have great range, ranged options, they're just gonna stand still and wait to die by us. On the crown side, the crown is also designed to be a one-on-one duelist. It likes to create situations that say, hey, you and me, mano y mano, so it fits right in theme. You can really go either. Not a big deal, whatever one you choose. I went with Conquest just because I felt like it. At Paladin 4, we have the option of either taking Strength or Charisma. Strength, you're gonna be more consistent with your attacks and deal more damage, of course. On the Charisma side, it's going to increase your spell DC. It's going to eventually increase your Aura of Protection, which is always fantastic. Personally, I'm leaning on the Charisma side because I want my Wrathful Smites to be pretty strong, but either one would be completely fine. At Paladin 5 or level 8, we have a massive strength buff. First, we're getting extra attack, which means we're going to be dealing more damage and getting sneak attack off more consistently. On top of that, we're going to get Fine Steed. Fine Steed is just going to increase our mobility by that much more and totally enable our hit and run playstyle, but also just enable us to be more discriminating about our target selection. We can run around the battlefield and go target someone in the back line a lot easier with a Fine Steed on deck. A spell we're going to pick up is Hold Person. Hold Person can be devastating with this build. You can set up a situation where you're attacking as a Paladin Rogue. Both of those classes love automatic criticals. We can drop a massive smite on top of sneak attack damage and just absolutely obliterate someone. Definitely another reason I decided to take Charisma. And I have mentioned this in a couple videos, but something to know about Hold Person is if you hold your action until after the enemy you're targeting's turn, they only get one save before it's your turn again, and so it's only one wisdom save before you get those crits, as opposed to 2 wisdom saves before you are personally getting crits. Now this needs to be balanced against your team's order because you might be not allowing your Barbarian to get a bunch of crits when you want them to. And it also is open up to breaking in concentration or them getting out of range, so you need to pay attention to the moment that you're using this, make sure it's being used correctly, but it is an option in your tool bag. Something I really like about this build is once we get the Aura of Protection. Aura of Protection, everyone knows, is absolutely fantastic, incredible. It's a game-defining feature, and we get it here, and it's super powerful as always. But what's really cool about it is because we're a hit and runner, we can run to the front line, do our damage, and run back to where we need to be to protect our allies. So our extra mobility really comes into play to make Aura of Protection really shine. At level 7, we get the Conquest Aura to make feared enemies not be able to run away from us. So now we can do the thing where they're stuck and we just keep hitting them until they're dead and they can't do anything about it, which is always fun. And that's pretty much the build. As you continue down, you're gonna get Find Greater Steed, increase your mobility, get other AoE options for fear, and yeah, you're off to the races. You're going to end up having good damage output with great defenses and have a lot of team support, which is fantastic. But how would you guys combine a Paladin and a Rogue? Let me know in the comments down below. And with that, I hope you have yourselves an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you then.